Welcome back. It's a BetterHalf show, and we've been discussing changing your spouse. Now, in my many years of counseling, I've had encounters with couples who just ask you the question, all kinds of questions about how they can change their spouses and the kind of things they're going through. I'm going to bring on some of those questions for us to discuss. The first one is a question like this: my husband is not ambitious enough. I keep encouraging him to further his education and be more aggressive in the marketplace, but he refuses. Can't he see that I'm doing it for his own good? Why can't he change? Sometimes people are trying to do something just to, for the good of their spouses, not really for their own good. If you're more aggressive, you make more money, it's for your good, What do you say to that? Yeah.
Well, I'm not really very sure how to tackle this question because there are different people, right? I think most people would accept correction. Most people would accept good counsel. I think the challenge is how do you go about it? If the man, if he feels that his authority has been undermined, men are naturally very egocentric. And if he sees that the woman is rubbing on his ego, then the tendency for him not to accept that counsel is very high.
And then it starts to look like she's just being selfish.
Yes.
Especially the way you're saying it. Sometimes instead of you actually coming across as somebody who's trying to help, you become a pest, and it's just like it's for your own good.
And so women can be very nagging, So she just keep on like needling him every time, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I also think that it can come across as, oh, you are embarrassed by me, that is why you want me to change. You are not satisfied with my car, my look. You want to travel as often as you need to, but I can't afford it. So you're telling me to get a better job. Meanwhile, it's really because you want to be able to spend more money. I'm happy with my 2 coins to rub together.
So what's your advice for that lady who is saying, change, if you change to, we have more money, if you change,
I really would say her confronting him and her frontal assault, really, which is what it is, will not work, will not support his egocentricity, will not strengthen him. So it might be a good idea for her to talk to someone else, someone around, a friend, to speak to him, someone who he can receive that information from. It might also be a good idea, remember when you said about influencing your spouse?
Yeah.
It might be a good idea for her to work on herself and focus on developing herself and building herself. And so being very discreet about sharing information, because when you come on strongly, as such, it can come across as, well, you're embarrassed by me, and that's why you want me to change.
Again, I would also suggest that if, most issues of marriage is actually a journey, right? Something leads to something. And so if the man felt in the past that she was disrespectful, and he felt that she has ulterior motives, and she has unconsciously or consciously suggested, right, that she wants certain lifestyles. Now, certainly, he will reject all her suggestions, right? So she needs to address, where is she coming from, right? And what has happened before this time.
I mean, and if I may, even with my parents, for example, I remember my mom being the goal-getter, she's very driven and all, and my dad is very happy to, is very happy with basics. And so I remember visibly seeing some of the arguments, and with hindsight, I can see that this was just about drive, about settling for the cheaper articles, for the cheaper options, as opposed to the more expensive options, things like that. So this issue of money, who's bringing in the money, it's very tricky.
Lastly, I would love to suggest that people should look at their spouse's temperament. Right? There's certain, because of people's temperament, they're not ambitious. Right? if we buy there's a book, I mean, you know, Tim LaHaya,
Yeah.
right?
Spirit control temperament.
Yeah, spirit control temperament.
Yeah.
People buy, then you know your spouse's temperament. You know why he is probably laid back,
Yeah.
right? No, everybody has a strength and weaknesses.
Absolutely.
So there's no any temperament that is bad.
Yeah.
But that tells you, how do I engage my spouse?
Yeah.
That's probably is a choleric, or
Yeah.
melancholy, or sanguine. So that will really
So
help.
if I understand the weaknesses, the strengths of my spouse, then I won't force them to change. I
Yeah.
want to leverage on the strength.
Thank you.
And, you know, try to help them out in the area of complement the weakness
That's
here
right.
and there.
Absolutely.
And then before you know it,
Yeah.
it's no longer a question of I'll force you to change.
Yeah.
But I'm understanding you.
That's right.
And I'm working with you, you know, showing up the areas that you need some, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
That's right.
that can work.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. The next question is, what do you do about a spouse that absolutely refuses to apologize even after you repeatedly tell them how bad it makes you feel? So this one is about something that really makes you feel bad, and you know, you don't want to change. This person doesn't want to do anything about it.
How I would respond to that is, you know, we receive apologies in different ways.
Yeah.
Now, there's a book we read at some point, or we looked at the languages of apology at some point. But before then, early on when we got married, my husband will say he's sorry like 200 times. And I'm like, I heard you the first time. You're sorry. Let's move on. And then when I say, I'm sorry, he's like, no, you don't really mean it. I'm like, but I said, in English, I am sorry. That should suffice. And it was, you're just saying that, you might as well tell me to shut up. I'm like, but I mean it. I am not hypocritical. Like you people saying sorry 200 times and you don't really mean it. You know, so we had that back and forth going on.
Yeah.
But I see that, he says you know, it's my military background. My dad was in the military, so we're very straight and narrow. You say it, you mean it, and you move on. My mother-in-law is angelic. I mean, she treats me like a granddaughter, you know. And if I give her a gift, she'll tell me, she keeps appreciating it over and over to the point I'm thinking, I gave her that gift like 6 months ago. And she'll call me and say, oh, I'm so thankful. And I'm thinking, well, that's where he gets it from. So again, background plays, you know, has a role.
Yeah.
So
So you feel the way he likes his own apology
is very different from the way I receive an apology. So I had to understand that I had to adopt his language of apology. I had to apologize to him in a way that made sense to him and made him, you know, made it easy for him to receive the apology.
Yeah. But you know, in a situation where this person is not even getting any apologies at all.
That's a
You
tough
know,
one.
I think
It's very
it's really
difficult.
tough.
It's really
not
very
to,
difficult.
Because, I mean, how do you
I
not
know there are certain
apologize?
tribes in this country, in Nigeria, where people come from, that the men find it very difficult to apologize to their
Certain
wives.
tribes, not all tribes.
No, not all tribes.
You're sure?
Right,
Okay.
certain tribes, right? It is really very difficult because, especially if you're dealing with a spouse that is intelligent and, so to say, she comes to the party, she's contributing to the finance of the home. Our parents growing, our parents are the fathers, the men, got away with murder.
Because they were
Right?
Lord and
because
Master.
they were Lord and Masters. You know, so they wouldn't say sorry. But now that the wives are financially independent, are
Yeah.
contributing to the finance of the home,
Very well enlightened.
very well enlightened,
Yeah.
I don't think it's acceptable, to be honest with you. It's a difficult one. I think I would suggest people should go for counseling, right? I think there should be robust conversation concerning the issue.
Yeah.
But I expect every person to say sorry.
Yeah. So really, truly, I mean, if a man, you know, watching us, you need to understand that the appropriate thing to do is actually to be able to say sorry. Don't be that macho man who will always refuse to say sorry because you are
Absolutely.
frustrating somebody. And if you're a lady too, it's the same thing. Learn to say sorry. Sorry does not know tribe or culture or anything. Sorry is just sorry.
Yeah.
It's apology, and some people just deserve to be apologized to. Let's take the next question, and this perhaps the last one. How do you influence change in your spouse's looks without it coming across as if he or she embarrasses you, especially when your spouse is already sensitive about his or her looks? Some people are just extremely sensitive about their looks. How do you, without them taking it personal, or even when they have to take it personal, how do you still go ahead
Joy,
to
you want to
say
say something about it?
I know why you want me to say something about it.
Okay,
because when we were getting married, usually in this country, you go to a church and you go through some classes and all. So our counselors, this man here, told the counselor, help me tell her, she should put some effort, because I didn't really care. No makeup, I didn't bother. No nails, nothing.
She was a tomboy.
Okay, tomboy.
Tomboy.
And being a teacher, I would go to work very simply, and he was a manager in DHL with all the babes looking hot and put together. And I just didn't care, and I didn't see it. So he didn't want me to feel, poorly about it. So he spoke to her, and she put it across to me in an amazing way. She said to me, Joy, he sees all those beautiful ladies every day. Just try. So he doesn't begin to compare you with them. And I thought, hang on a minute. Okay, I'd better try. But whenever he would try and suggest to me, maybe you should wear, and I'm like, please, 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 please. Cheap is cheerful. Cheap is cheerful.
So you're saying that sometimes
expensive.
maybe it works when
it's indirect, it's discreet.
The third party,
yes.
You allow a third party to help you.
That works for us.
Yeah.
Worked.
When you talk to somebody who knows how to package it, how to say it. If you don't have any shred of diplomacy in your
exactly
in your body.
I think people should be very positive about
presenting such
suggestions or counsel to their spouses. Once, for example, ladies are very sensitive about weight, right? So the man must go about it in a way that the woman doesn't feel insulted, right?
Oh, I have something to say.
Okay, bring it on.
My husband, when 4 or 5 years ago, decided to buy me a birthday present and bought a treadmill. Now, I looked at this treadmill and I thought, why is this a birthday present for me?
This is saying something to me.
And I took it very personal, I have to say. I don't like going to the gym. I do not appreciate sweating. I am heavy and I am happy.
So
that
did you
treadmill,
learn something from that experience?
I was very... Now, the treadmill is bad, by the way, and it's a piece of decor in the house.
Well, sometimes, you have a way of talking to your spouse in a very nice way, right? It could be a beautiful dress, could be a suit for your husband.
That's like 4 sizes too small.
Right?
A dress that's 2 sizes big.
Exactly.
Yes, right? But, we should go about it in a very positive way. Let's not throw the baby and the bathwater together, knowing that this is my spouse. Right? I think that's what's more important.
That's good. All right. So, my last question. The place of contentedness, where you get to a point, you've been at it for over 18 years now. That just that point that you get to where you come to the place of acceptance. Yeah. We know a lot of the time when we say that what you can't change, you accept. But this time around, it's not just that you're managing. From the bottom of your heart, you've come to the place of acceptance and content. You're just happy with what you have. But what do you say to that, Joy?
I say that it's a choice you have to make, really, because you will always have more handsome people with maybe 6 packs, not 1 pack. Like we say, we have 1 pack now, not whatever we had before. Yes, and you always have the hot, skinny, whatever looking person. So, are you satisfied with yourself as a person? Because if you're not happy with yourself, you really cannot be content, happy with someone else.
That's very
so
good.
being, you know, content with yourself, happy with where you are now, there's no point buying a dress 4 sizes too small. Buy something that fits now and be happy with your look.
Yeah.
You know, be content now. And then if you do want to be 4 sizes too small, do something about it.
Yeah.
We've both gone on this, not a diet really, sort of lifestyle change. And so we've both lost weight and things like that. But it was not, oh gosh, we're 100 pounds overweight. And so we have to, but the lifestyle change and we're content. Exactly.
It's just something you enjoy doing and you just did it together. And nobody's forcing anybody. Nobody's, you know, making a fuss about it.
On each other's throats. There's no new thread meal.
No,
Thankfully.
I'm not very sure the contentment is across life or just about weight, but even marriage, generally speaking, right?
Yeah.
I think Joy really was actually spot on when she talked about you being when you're content yourself. It's easier for you to accept your spouse, right? And you know, like she said, I mean, things are changing, right? You must, when you're committed to the marriage, then you accept your spouse, irrespective, right? It's a journey, right? But if you're not committed, then you can be persuaded and dissuaded easily, right? But once you're committed, irrespective of how your spouse looks or the finances,
just take it.
Or
you know, tomorrow is another day. We're just getting, I mean, one day after the other, and we're getting better by the day.
And if I may, different areas become highlighted depending on where you are in your lives. If you have young children, there are different things that will be the focus of attention. If the children leave the house, different things come up. So I think it's a journey, and as you progress, you just have to, you know, land at every point. Okay, this is where we're at. This is our situation.
So
we will deal with this.
Each step and
each stage. And
each stage.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much for sharing your insights with us on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
I really appreciate your presence on the
very
BetterHalf
much,
show.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll be back with my final thoughts. So don't go away. Stay with me. Changing your spouse has been the topic of discussion today, and I've had very insightful discussions with my guests. But just as we wrap up today, I need you to understand one thing, that there are things that can change, and there are things that cannot change. And you need to come to a point in your relationship with your spouse that you start to accept the things that cannot change. And it starts with you, because you have not changed totally since you have known yourself. So it's uncalled for to expect that just getting married to somebody 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, they will change completely. So accept yourself, then accept your spouse, and understand that there's power in positive influence. If you have been influenced before, then you can influence someone else. Any attempt for you to force change down the throat of your spouse through criticism, through, you know, just manipulation and all kinds of tricks will break their heart. And what you get is a broken person, not a changed person. But what you really need is someone who has changed, grown, and not broken. Nobody can handle a broken person. It's like trying to fetch water into a broken vessel. It's just going to be an exercise in futility. So I want to encourage you today that you stay focused on positively influencing your spouse, knowing that you can both grow together and change together without you forcing anything on them. And make up your mind to be content with where you are now, knowing that tomorrow will be better, and next year will be better, and we're growing every day and getting better. Thank you for staying with me on the show. And until I come your way again, another time on this same station, may your marriage and relationships be sweet.